Dan and his wife are snapping some sweet photos together when a nearby lowlife starts mocking them. Dan politely walks over and asks him to delete the pictures.
Take it down.
Make me.
Hey, Dan, leave it. Let's...
Yeah, listen to your lady, Dan. Is there a tough guy in there, Dan? Are you a tough guy? Oh.
And gets a sneer in return. How does a pushover like you end up with a wife that good looking? Maybe I should be the one taking care of her. Faced with the provocation, Dan swallows it and walks away. On the drive home, his wife can see he's down in the dumps and tries to comfort him.
I didn't want you to fight him. And if I wanted to marry a brawler, I would've.
But her face can't quite hide her disappointment. Back at the house, Dan washes off the humiliation in the shower, and something shifts in his eyes. A lion who's been lying low for far too long has finally woken up. Dan used to be a top-tier hitman who had entire criminal organizations running scared. The only reason he let that punk slide was to avoid blowing his cover and dragging his family into something dangerous. But that one moment of restraint backfires badly. His photo gets posted online, and it doesn't take long for old enemies to recognize his face. One day, Dan heads to the grocery store to pick up diapers for his baby, and the moment he opens a fridge door, he clocks a hitman moving in on him.
Shit! I'm so sorry about this, pal. Really?
At least let me put the kid down first, he says. The guy doesn't even flinch. He attacks immediately. With a baby in his arms, Dan has no choice but to handle it fast, blocking every move and wrapping things up as quickly as possible.
I told you to let me put my kid down!
Once it's done, Dan calmly picks the diapers off the floor, walks to the register like nothing happened, and casually suggests to the store employee that someone should go deal with the guy who made a mess. Back home, he heads straight to a hidden compartment under the stairs and pulls out the classic Hollywood emergency kit, handgun, fake passport, and cash. The problem is he's been retired so long the passport has expired. He grabs a stack of bills, packs up clothes for the family, and calls an old contact to have a fresh passport ready within 3 days, agreeing to meet in Las Vegas. He then picks the kids up from school and swings by his wife's workplace, spinning a story about a last-minute Adele concert and a little road trip to Vegas to go along with it. Jessica can hardly believe it. Her usually boring, predictable husband suddenly wants to take a spontaneous road trip. Something feels off to her right away. Right then, Dan spots a suspicious vehicle down below and rushes everyone out the door. At the parking garage exit, a hitman is already waiting, but a city bus rolls by at just the right moment, giving Dan the window he needs to slip through. The pursuer's car catches up fast, forcing Dan into some high-speed maneuvering that rattles the whole family, except the baby, who absolutely loves it. Dan claims he's just taking a shortcut, completely unaware that a tracking device has already been planted on the undercarriage of the car, so they've known his every move the whole time. The moment Dan notices something's wrong, he pulls into the auto shop where he works, uses a routine maintenance visit as cover, and quietly locates and removes the tracker from the frame, then sticks it on an annoying coworker's car.
Cars are like chicks, man.
Yes, right.
Get her on the freeway, you open her up, and you get a ticket, it's on me.
That coworker drives off completely clueless, and the moment the tracker starts moving, the hitmen go tearing after it. To cut off every information channel, Dan confiscates the whole family's phones and switches to a paper map for navigation. Meanwhile, the hitmen return to Dan's house to search for leads, come up empty, and order their people to monitor the family's social media. But with the phones gone, there's nothing to find. Even so, just as Dan is checking the family into a hotel, he looks up to find his son in the lobby taking photos with a group of fangirls. Dan immediately pivots, claims there's been a mix-up with the reservation, and herds everyone back on the road. The hitmen get word and close in fast. Dan clocks one of them on a motorcycle in the rearview mirror and knows there's no avoiding this. He pops on some soothing music in the car. A nice calming melody, quietly draws his handgun and screws on the suppressor. His young son happens to catch a glimpse of this from the back seat and stares back with wide, absolutely delighted eyes. Once the enemy gets close enough, Dan steers onto a quiet road, cranks up the volume and goes to work. One clean shot, one down. For someone at his level, handling low-level muscle is nothing, but with his family right there in the car, he has to be extra careful. One of the hitmen lunges at the car and gets locked in Dan's grip, pressed hard against the door but gripping the window frame for dear life. The car's swerving and bouncing everywhere. Dan can't get his other hand free, so he grabs his baby's bottle, squeezes milk into the guy's helmet visor and punches him off the car. The night ends with everyone shaken but intact. Once they reach their destination, Dan barely manages to close his eyes before his daughter wakes him up. Jessica, realizing he'd driven through the entire night, is full of concern. Dan just grins and says he was too excited to sleep. The family rolls into Las Vegas, eyes lit up at the glittering skyline. Dan goes all out, booking a 7-star hotel suite with every upgrade on the menu. With the family settled in, Dan slips out under the guise of needing some air and meets his old friend Augusto downstairs. Augusto hands him an envelope. Inside, besides new passports for the whole family, are flights to Vancouver. Dan presses a bag of cash into his hands and tells him not to lose it all at the tables. His plan is to come clean about who he really is over dinner that night. Back in the room, he tucks a knife into his sock, holsters his gun, and takes Jessica out to enjoy a little time for just the two of them. But not before telling the kids, don't leave this room under any circumstances and don't open the door for anyone. The second their parents are gone, the kids forget every word of it and sneak out. In the restaurant, Dan finally steels himself to say something, only for the waiter to keep hovering and interrupting as dish after dish arrives. Dan loses patience and unleashes a torrent of flawless, razor-sharp French right at him. Jessica's jaw drops. After all these years together, she had no idea her husband spoke French. Dan seizes the moment and launches into a heartfelt confession in French, also dropping the fact that he's a hitman right in there. But Jessica hasn't understood a single word. She just thinks her husband has suddenly become incredibly romantic, and the mood inspires a very fitting request on her part.
I want to be eating this amazing food, drinking the champagne we can't afford, and enjoying each other's company, and just maybe showing that ridiculous hotel suite some moves it has never seen before.
The two make their way back to the room. Dan checks on the kids, apparently asleep. Jessica heads to the bathroom to wash up, and he stands by the window taking in the dazzling Vegas skyline. Then several red laser dots appear on his face. Hitmen are already inside the room.
Dan?
Jessica senses something wrong and starts to say something, but someone grabs her from behind before she can. Dan snatches a vodka bottle off the floor and takes out 2 of them. But a third has Jessica at gunpoint, using her as a shield as he backs out of the bathroom. Dan slowly lowers his weapon, playing along like he's surrendering, while his hand quietly creeps down to the knife in his sock.
Just let her go. She doesn't know anything.
Well, I say she does now, Sean. Yeah, so here's how this is gonna go. First, then I'm gonna kill her, and then I'm gonna have my associate, a Hyper X, kill your kids. How's that sound?
Once the threat is neutralized, Jessica, still in full shock, promptly throws up. Dan pats her on the back and says, "Happens to everyone the first time. You get used to it." Then the two rush to the kids' room, yank back the covers, and find nothing but pillows. The kids are gone. They race downstairs to find their son in the middle of a gaming tournament, pulling off some jaw-dropping moves that have the whole crowd going wild. Dan spots him in the sea of people, but all the commotion also draws the hitmen's attention. In the hallway, Dan sits the kids down and tells them the truth about who he is, and they burst out laughing.
I'm not kidding around. Ask Max. Before I met your mom, I was a covert assassin. I escaped that life, and now they found us.
As far as they're concerned, their dad is the most spineless person on the planet. No contest. Right then, shots ring out as the hitmen catch up and the kids go completely white. They finally believe him. Dan tells Jessica to get the kids somewhere safe while he draws the enemy away. He releases the parking brake on a showroom car and lets it roll out on its own. Thinking Dan's inside, the hitmen blast the windshield full of holes. Dan picks his moment, takes one of them out, grabs the weapon, and heads back to find his family. Except the guy was wearing a vest. He gets right back up and keeps coming. Dan gets the family hidden, lures the hitman in close, and drops him for good. His son watches the whole thing from start to finish and immediately throws up.
It's okay, honey. Everyone barfs the first time.
With the immediate danger over, Dan finally has a chance to lay everything out. His real name is Shane. He enlisted at 18, made it through Green Beret selection, and then Delta Force, and after proving himself, was recruited by a man named McCaffrey to work as a professional mercenary, completing 28 missions in total. Eventually, he realized McCaffrey had become consumed by greed and was just using him as a tool, so he walked away, and that's when the organization put a price on his head. He figures that coming clean will earn him his family's understanding. Their response: "You're nothing but a liar."
Thanks, Dad. Kyle, come back.
Yeah, no. You don't get to tell us what to do anymore. Ever.
Come.
18 years of lies.
I'm still the man you married. I was just something different before.
Something different? You weren't in a band or vegan, Dan. That would be something different. You were an assassin for hire.
I kept the truth from you to protect you, okay? But our love was real.
Real? Are you serious? What, was it so real that you couldn't trust me with knowing how much danger we were in?
Jessica immediately decides to take the kids and leave, letting Dan deal with all of this on his own. They head back to the hotel. She calls a travel agent to book a return trip, and the next morning she has the kids packed and ready to go, tuning out Dan's pleas the whole time. But when they get to the airport, there's a private jet sitting on the tarmac waiting for them. Stepping off the plane is Jessica's best friend Gwen, who casually says she just happened to be in the area. By the time Jessica realizes something's wrong, it's already too late. This is a trap McCaffrey set up from the very beginning. Dan gets a video call from McCaffrey almost immediately, using the family as leverage to force him to come alone to a designated meeting point. Dan shows up as instructed and gets the last thing he expected. McCaffrey is his biological father. He wants Dan back in the fold, and if Dan refuses, the family dies. Left with no choice, Dan gives in, and McCaffrey has his men escort Jessica and the kids downstairs. As they say their goodbyes, the kids can hardly let go. They all know this might be the last time they see him. The two of them work on their mom the whole way down, urging her to do something. But Jessica knows that staying behind would only make things harder for Dan. The best thing she can do is get the kids out safely. Buying time for their mom to change her mind, Kyle starts mashing every button in the elevator, grinding it to a crawl. After everything the kids say to her, Jessica finally makes up her mind. She pretends to change the baby's diaper and then completely out of nowhere smashes a soiled diaper straight into the escort's face, shoves him off balance while he's stunned, and sends him tumbling from the height above. Jessica scoops up his dropped gun, gets in the elevator, and rides it back up to find Dan. Upstairs though, Gwen has already managed to clear the room of everyone else and is making her move on Dan, trying to rekindle whatever they had. They're getting pretty cozy when Jessica walks in and catches them. Dan, without missing a beat, plays along with Gwen, using the moment to his advantage and catching her off guard. Meanwhile, Fred learns the escort is dead and immediately guesses they've probably gotten loose, ordering men up to the floor at once. Dan watches through a drone feed as they close in fast, sends the family up to the roof, and stays behind to hold the line. The men downstairs notice the elevator heading down and crowd around it, but when the doors slide open, all that's inside is a baby carrier. Someone curious unzips it, ticking time bomb. Dan emerges from the shadows and immediately takes one man down. McCaffrey orders everyone to open fire, while Dan has Kyle guiding him through the chaos with the drone.
You're clear on your right. Go now. Dad, man on your left. Dad, are you okay? Man ahead.
Man on your six.
Great job, Kyle.
I'm on it, Dad.
McCaffrey spots the drone and radios Gwen awake, ordering her upstairs to deal with the roof. Jessica sees the elevator rising, gets the kids hidden, and trains her gun on the elevator doors. The moment they open, she fires 3 shots and hits nobody. Gwen swings in from the side, and despite Jessica's boxing background, she's completely outmatched and quickly put down. The kids charge out to help. Kyle runs interference up front while Nina shoves a luggage cart at Gwen from behind, hoping to knock her over the edge. Gwen sidesteps it without even trying. Just as it looks like the kids are in serious trouble, Jessica hauls herself up and throws herself at Gwen, only to get thrown clear, just barely landing on a lower ledge. As she pulls herself back up, something clicks. Back in high school, she was the all-around track and field champion. She grabs a long pole, takes a running start, and charges straight at Gwen.
Not quite the decathlete we once were, huh?
Gwen braces for another pole vault attempt, and forgets that the decathlon has one more event she hasn't accounted for, the javelin.
There's 9 other events, bitch.
Downstairs, with Kyle's drone keeping watch, Dan works his way through the last of McCaffrey's men one by one until only McCaffrey himself is left. Facing someone who is both his father and the man who trained him, Dan quickly finds himself on the losing end of several exchanges. Just as McCaffrey moves in for the finishing blow, the whole family comes rushing in. Nina calls out Grandpa, and McCaffrey, caught off guard by pure instinct, turns to look. Dan seizes the opening, knocks the weapon out of his hand, and beats him to the ground. Every threat is neutralized. In the aftermath, McCaffrey's organization is dismantled by law enforcement, and Dan finally gets to bring his family home back to a quiet, ordinary life. That's it for today's story. Drop a comment with any movies you'd like to see covered, and subscribe for more.